friends. Welcome to tonight's show. I am so excited tonight to share with you my special guests. But first, let me ask you a question. Do you struggle with organizing stuff in your sewing space? If the answer is yes, if you have anything around you that you'd like to get streamlined so you can get to your machine faster and start creating sooner, then stick with me because we got a great show tonight. I am Joanne Banco from the Let's Go Sew with Joanne Banco channel, and this is my fourth Monday of the month Sew Tell Me show, where I bring on industry experts and sewing enthusiasts just like you so that you can be inspired to make the most of your machine. So tonight I've got two great people. I've got a husband and wife team with me, which is always fun. That's like two for the price of one. And I'm going to introduce them in just a minute, but let me tell you a little bit about them first. All right. We are actually tonight going to be treated with having my guests that are Kelly and Sharon Smith. So, I got you guys already in the corner. So go ahead and wave. I was going to keep you backstage for just a couple more minutes, but that's okay. Let me just tell everybody a little bit about Kelly and Sharon. They have actually developed some great solutions for organizing the stuff in your sewing space. Both artists in their own right. Kelly is an experienced digitizer, and Sharon is actually involved in the industry as an educator for the embroidery company called OESD. So she'll tell you more about that tonight for sure. But they've been in the embroidery business for 20 plus years. And Sharon and Kelly founded Laser Bee Studio to fill the need for organizing and streamlining embroidery projects. So let me bring them up together here so that we can say hello. Say hello. Welcome, welcome,
Hello.
welcome.
Glad to be here.
And you're zooming in from down south, right?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
One of my favorite places to visit. I feel like it's a second home when I'm there. So it's always good to visit with the two of you. We've known each other for a while. I'll tell everybody how we met. Probably, oh, Sharon, I might have met you first. I'm not sure.
You probably were at the store in Houston.
Yep, probably. And certainly we've done many different events together, embroidery events, and had a lot of fun over the years when we did all those kinds of things. So we've got a lot of guests rolling in. So let me take just a minute to say hello. Wow, we've got like a ton of people here already. Is everybody excited to learn more about organizing in their sewing space? I hope so. I hope so. We've got somebody else here from Louisiana. Lilo is from Louisiana. Very cool, Lilo. Good to have you here. And then I've got Michelle, Paula, Cindy, Ann is here. Margaret's here. Catherine's here. Star Raymond, good to have you here tonight, Star Raymond. I don't think you ever miss a show, and it's always good to see your name here. Sharon, Teresa, Barbara, another Sharon, Susan, Sheila, Rosalind. Our friend Carrie Cunningham is here. I believe she's another mutual friend
Carrie.
of yours.
Yes, hey, Carrie.
Carrie.
Jay West. Cindy West is here.
I see Miss Barbara Fontenot is in here. She's one of my longtime customers and dear friend. Hello, Miss Barbara.
Wonderful. My friend June. June never misses a show either. So June, I'm so happy to have you here tonight. It's always good to see your name. Trisha, Gia, Cheryl, Bambi Lynn. Hey, Bambi Lynn. Haven't seen you for a little bit. Good to have you here. Trisha is here. Linda's here. All right. Well, I can't say hi to everybody all at once. There are so many of you here. So thank you all for coming. This is just really, really exciting. All right. So We got to start by talking about what probably is the most tricky thing to find a way to put away when you don't need to use it, and get ready to use when you do need to use it. So, anybody know what I'm talking about? Thread, embroidery thread. You got it. That, I don't know. That's just one thing that it's funny when you first get a machine. I love to hear your perspective on it, Sharon and Kelly. But when you first get a machine, you buy like 10 spools, right? Like, that should be fine. That should.
The primary colors.
Yeah, I'll just need my primary colors.
Yeah.
We're good with that. And then you
Oh,
suddenly
yeah.
realize, yeah, that's not the right color. I need something else.
And then,
Then it
and
becomes a
then,
slight
and
addiction. You're
then
always at the
you
sewing
need.
store buying more and more thread.
Absolutely. It's crazy how much you end up with after
Yes.
you've been embroidering for a period of time. Plus, I'd like to know, how many of you out there, leave your comments in the chat. How many of you have switched brands since you first started to embroider? I sure know that I have, because I started out with those little itty bitty skinny spools. That was, we're talking many years ago, and there wasn't much out there to find. But you're a testament to, now with your products, how many different types of brands there really are. What, just off the top of your head, what you know what do you think that would be the main number of brands that are out there?
Oh gosh. Well, the main ones are probably 6 to 7
Yep.
brands, and then
Yep.
there's every time we turn around, there's somebody sent us something. Do you have an organizer for BFC thread? And I'm like, I don't even know what BFC thread is, so
Right.
we had to go do some more research on that. So
You're right about the amount, though. They're really, in reality, for a couple of reasons. Availability, number one. Quality, number two. I think there aren't really that many out there that are going to be, kind of go to
right,
thread palettes. And then when you look at the machines and what they list in there, or the software programs, they pretty much stick with the most popular ones.
Right.
exactly.
If
Too.
you're a new embroiderer, you learn real quick of the threads that you need to stop buying and look for threads that are more reliable, because they just tend to snap and break, and so your higher quality threads tend to work better.
You're right. You're right. And see, Margaret left a comment here. She says she switched from rayon to polyester,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we could do a whole
Yeah.
other show on types
Right.
of thread and why use this and why use that. We're not really going there tonight, but
Right.
I would say that in my whole grouping, and I'd love to hear your comments, I have very minimal spools of rayon, and that was because I needed to have some shading that needed to be very, very graduated. And rayon does absorb dye easier than any other, and than the polyesters do. So you can have more color variations. But just a little tip here: rayon, the same way it absorbs dye, it can let go of dye.
Correct.
So
Exactly. It's not
it
color
does require,
fast. Yeah.
yeah, it requires delicate treatment. Correct.
Correct.
Yes. Rayon was probably really big when Jenny Haskins was doing the patterns and things like that. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's true, because again, when you've got those, a lot of graduation of colors, and in the early days there wasn't that kind of availability. Today,
Right.
I've got just a one thread rack from one brand. My friends at Designs and Machine Embroidery produce exquisite thread, and I love that thread.
Mhm.
But I could pick, just in one color range, 6 colors, and I don't even have the whole palette. So
Yeah.
it's really, things have changed, and they've gotten much better. Embroidery, everything for embroidery gets better and better
Oh yeah.
every day. But
Yes.
Laser Bee Studios has really made embroidery better for everybody. Trisha, she's saying polyester is usually less expensive too. That is true. That is definitely true. All right, so we will take questions tonight. I'm going to try to keep track of them as they come in. I've got one here I don't want to lose right now, so let me pull it up really quick. Anybody heard of that thread? That's a new one to me.
Thread.
I think is it Smith thread?
It
'Cause
looks like skim, unless it's spelled differently than what.
We were at an event this weekend and somebody asked about the Smith thread, and I said I've never heard of that. I think they get it online.
Oh, interesting.
Because they were trying to see if the base of the spool was the same size as what we carry our inserts for, and I think it is, but I've never heard of that thread before.
Yeah. Well, it's Stacy, it's wonderful to have you here all the way here from New Zealand. So thank you for joining us. But it is one of those kinds of things that, you're probably your base market is pretty much in the USA. And so you're going to gear your products a little bit more to the threads that are readily available for most embroiderers there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we got another comment. She's seen maybe it's Sim, maybe it's Smith.
It is Sim.
Maybe the lady that
pronounced
it wrong because she didn't have the spool with her. She
Yeah.
just threw out the name, and we were like, "Wow, Smith thread. Never heard of that." So maybe it is Sim thread.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing that's tricky, and Stacy says she's small here, so they're limited. I can understand that. It's tricky when you are using a thread brand that isn't really as common either, because you're having to really switch the colors and the design by your own eye. So, there aren't really conversion charts and all that kind of thing available too. So
Right.
Exactly.
that's interesting.
But I think that we determined that we showed her another spool of thread that we have, and I think we determined that it's the same size as the Coates and Clark and the Simplicity thread because they're smaller bases.
Ah, interesting.
So,
Well, probably things like the plastic cones that threads are actually wound up on, probably aren't that many different manufacturers that make these.
correct.
So everybody's putting their own thread on a different kind of thing. So, all right, we got to talk about the thread trays because that's one of the things I'm so excited to show. I've got mine here, right here. Hopefully I won't spill them and drop them all over the place. But this is one of my favorites. I'm a little short on space where I am.
I'll hold up these without the threads, that way they can see what it looks like.
Yep, that's great. And it comes with the marker so that I could actually put in the names of the colors right in those little holes. And what I love about this is that I can mix and match my thread. So I said that before, I've got a mixture. Mostly I use the Brother thread and the Dime Exquisite thread. They've all got their own different colors, and I love them both. But my spools fit nice and tight, really, really, really perfectly in this. And what I love about this is because I am a little bit space challenged, I can put this right next to my machine, and just like that, and have everything organized for changing my threads. I do have access to a 6-needle machine, but I have to tell you that most of the time I like using my single needle embroidery machine. And so it's just picking that one thread at a time. It's nice to have them all organized.
I have to agree with you, Joanne. I mean, you guys know that I'm really well versed into the multi-needle machines, but I can change the color of the thread faster on a single needle than it is with a multi-needle.
That's funny.
It's on a multi-needle, but it's still quicker on a single needle.
Yeah, when you set up for a multi-needle, it's that prep time, not really getting anything done. Whereas when you're doing it on a single needle machine, you're like, okay, it's ready for the next one. I'm feeding it more thread.
Right.
So,
right.
It's easier to just sit down and do something instead of having to plan for it.
Well, you got a fan here with Carrie. She's already using it, and that's really nice to hear, Carrie. And then Barb says, "What a great idea! What a great tool! Definitely." So, all right, let's kind of start from the beginning.
Okay.
Laser Bee. It's a cute name. You got a really cute logo. I love it. How did it get started?
So, I'll start out saying our original name was the Elegant Cuts, and we had that for maybe 3 or 4 months.
And we kept
And we
getting,
kept going, that sounds like a hair salon. So I think we need to change our name. So we finally came up with Laser Bee. I think I saw somewhere somebody said, welcome to the hive. And I'm like, oh, I like that idea. If we ever have online classes and stuff for maybe some of our kids that we plan on doing, that I like the hive idea. So that's when we started going, okay, what can we name our company that has to do with bees and stuff? So that's how Laser Bee Studio came about.
And what was what was your first product that you came out with then?
well,
So go ahead.
so actually the name was the second step. It all originated. Now, Sharon and I, as you know, we've all been in sewing and embroidery for years. And I got on this little app called Wish and ordered this little laser the size of a Rubik's Cube. I couldn't figure this thing out to save my life. Well, Sharon had come in for the weekend for a visit, and I went run and grab a shower, and she's playing around with it. And I come out the shower, and she's like, I got it. I lasered. I was able to figure it out. And she went, I was like, wow, you did it. And all of a sudden I heard her say, oh no, Hank, that's our little puppy, had grabbed the wire from the laser and ripped it off the table, and it shattered to pieces.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. She's like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I said, don't feel bad. It was a toy. She said, I'm going to replace it. I'm like, oh, whatever. Well, a few weeks later, a semi truck pulls up in front of the house and delivers this huge laser, almost the size of my little SUV. I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's really how the whole lasering thing got started. And then a couple of months passed by, and I walk into the shop, and Sharon has these wood boards with circles cut out. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm so sick and tired of trying to find the threads that I need. She said, so I've developed this. And I'm like, that is a fantastic idea, because I'm going to show you something. This is how it is for most people, I'm sure. So this is how you're trying to find a thread,
or worse than that.
Exactly. You're looking at numbers until finally you give up and you just go to the store and buy another one. Well, with the storage system that she developed, everything is all nice and stored in a compartment, and it's all laser etched with the numbers. If you have brand specific thread, like you said, you use multiples, so there's options for those too. But that's basically how it all got started, was that she was just tired of trying to find all these threads through buckets like this.
I'm diehard Isacord thread person. I was using Isacord even before I started working with OESD. So, and I'd get a project and it would say I needed Isacord color 232 or something, and I had to have Isacord 232. I wasn't going to substitute for another color. So digging through these buckets, trying to find, that color, I said, okay, I don't have it, so now I need to go get it again. And I started looking, and I had 5 spools of the same color.
Wow.
And the hardest thing was finding something to put them in, And we finally found, I don't know if y'all can see this. This is Iris makes carts, okay, the little plastic carts with the tubs and stuff in them. But a lot of times they weren't deep enough to hold the height of the spools. Well, we finally found the scrapbook cart that they carry, and I did some playing around, and I'm like, with the insert in there and the thread, it fits perfect. You can close the lid. You can keep some dust free, keeps them out of the light, and we can etch the numbers on them if it's brand name, or just do generics if you have multiple brands. So that's kind of how it all started, So.
And then it's stackable. So as you add, you could just keep stacking those up. And I know those are readily available, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can find them Amazon, Walmart, Joann's. They are readily available everywhere, and they come as a unit of 6. So we've got sets of inserts that if you just have 200 threads, that actually holds over 200 threads. Just that 6 set right there.
Wow, and that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
We have a one that's a sort by color, so that's a 12 unit. So you'd have to order 2 of the sets, and you take the top. They've got a little lid on them. you take those off and you can actually stack them on top of each other. Isocord is a 3-unit set. It has 18 inserts, and you can see how little space it takes up. So I actually slide that into the closet, and it's out of the way. And it has all 423 colors of isocord in there.
So
Wow.
even people who are challenged with, the amount of space that they have, we were told this weekend that something like this would actually take up less space than what they're currently using with a bunch of, totes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I get questions a lot, like, how do you protect your thread from light? Well, bingo, there you go.
Exactly.
But I really love the fact that you took something and you created something that fits something that already exists.
Right.
So that, makes it really easy for people to purchase from you, get what they need for the organizer, customize it to their
Right.
thread palette, and then fit it into something that's so generic and so readily available.
Right.
And then
we've done that a lot. IKEA, a lot of people like the IKEA Alex units and system in their sewing rooms. They like the wood look and all that. So we've developed inserts that fit into those drawers. We've actually had custom orders where somebody's bought the Husky unit from Home Depot, and that's where they store their threads. So they just send us the dimensions, and we make an insert to fit into that. So
that's wonderful. So you will custom make trays.
The key is just to make sure that the height of the spool will fit. Once the insert is in there, it will actually close and fit in there. So
very good. Yeah. Well, I got a couple comments here I want to bring up. Barbara says it changed your inserts and the cards changed her embroidery life. That's a big statement. That is a big statement, but I can imagine, because you showing that basket, I could have showed you something that was worse than that basket. I have a Ziploc bag that I literally have to take my scissors and cut into in order to pull a spool out, because they just got so.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
And then our friend Becky is here tonight. Becky from Power Tools with Thread. Hey, Becky, glad to have you here. Mutual friend again, I'm sure, and she loves this. She has tons of isocord thread, so that really.
I tell you, we did this was it 5 years ago? And I got all my isocord organized, and I have never had to change again. You'll find something, you'll go, oh yeah, this organizes it. So you might have stacks of plastic trays somewhere or tubs. And then next thing you know, some other thing will come along, try that. But I have not had to change my system since we did this, because it's there. I'll show you a close up of the isocord ones. You can see all the numbers are etched on there. So it's all in numerical order. So if you can easily look at your tray and say, I'm missing that number, or I need to reorder that number or something, or you have it, so, it makes it so organized.
Yeah. But it sure beats having to carry around a big long list, because instead of keeping track of what you have, all you have to keep track of is what you don't have.
Exactly.
So that you can do a refill. Somebody ought to design a refrigerator like that, I think. Kitchen cabinets with your project tray.
Miss Joanne, when we finally got all the threads in the case, we realized we had like 5 and 6 of the same colors. Just add up the amount of what we call them overage or duplicates of threads. That's money that you could have bought more fabric with to do more projects.
You got that right. Yep, you got that right. All right, we got a question. June wants to know how many spools fit in a case. Does that vary from brand to brand, or?
On the brand ones, because we etch the numbers in them, you can fit 30 spools in each case. Our sort by color, and sort by color fits 36 in a case, and we just changed the generic ones to fit 36 in a case.
Okay.
So that's 36 per drawer.
Yeah, per drawer.
Yeah. So
that's a lot.
This is one of the sort by colors, and it's the color green drawer, and you can put 36 spools of thread in one little drawer, and you get 12 drawers with that system.
Okay, I'm not sure what the green means. Can you clue me in on that?
So sort by color, if you have multiple brands, you can actually make this your green drawer, and that's why we have a green
Oh,
drawer. In this
okay. So
drawer,
it's generic. It's basically generic.
Yes.
correct, yes.
Exactly.
Got it. Got it.
So we have a
Very
generic
good.
set is for 6, and all we have is sewing quotes on that one, because and then you can sort it however you want. And then we came out with a generic set of 12 with the primary colors on them, and then some overstock drawers. So if you want it, a lot of people sort by color because they have multiple brands.
Yeah.
So because there are some people, unlike me, that just say, I need a pink, so they'll go pull a pink. Instead of me, I need a number. Give me that number.
See, I'm the person that just says, if it says pink, I'm grabbing a pink.
Yeah.
Sharon's not that way. It's got to be
Well,
that number.
like I said, that's another whole subject in and of itself. Maybe we could do a good show on Thread Talk, because just even picking colors, for some people it's easy. For other people,
Right.
it's a big deal to switch from what the design or the machine is telling you to use and what somebody else is telling you. So,
Well, Joanne, some of the designs that are out there, if you don't use the colors that they tell you, the shadings aren't right.
Mhm.
It just changes the final look of your embroidery.
yeah.
So
And we're gonna get Sharon. I'm gonna take advantage of having Sharon here tonight. We're gonna get some good embroidery tips a little later, so stick around. We're gonna talk embroidery too. But we do have a question. Lilo wants to know measurements wise. Well, they're made to fit the drawers, so
Correct.
that's pretty much standard, right?
Yeah. So if you do go to the website, each one of the listings will have the measurements of the drawers. They're around. Oh, I mean, I don't remember the exact size because they fit in these plastic tubs, but they're around 12 or 13 inches length and width.
Whatever the drawer is, they fit.
Correct.
Whatever type of drawer that you're
Correct.
looking for.
Yeah.
And then Teresa's asking if they work for serger cones as well.
Well, these won't be deep enough, but I know on the Alec units from IKEA, the drawers, some of the units that we have, I found out they are deep enough for the serger thread, so we're going to come up with an insert for that. And then, like I said, they can always contact us, and if they have a drawer they know their serger thread fits into, we can always, do a custom for that. So
Great.
I saw somebody asked about 5,000 yard spools.
Okay.
That's a big thing, and that is on our list to do. We just cannot find a system that will hold those spools. We see some tubs, that they fit in, but who wants to keep stacking tubs?
Yeah.
On top of each
Yeah.
other. So as soon as we can find something or create something, we're going to definitely do them for the bigger spools.
Well, good. That'll be something to look forward to. They're commercial size spools,
Exactly.
so that's a whole different animal. We're kind of focusing a little bit more on standardized things.
Right.
So Becky's asking, can you do custom numbers for dime? Do you have a?
we do.
We have
it already.
exquisite. We already
Okay.
have one for exquisite. Yep.
Yep.
Very
That's
good.
A 12.
Very
A
good.
12 drawer system.
That's a 12 drawer.
That's a 12 drawer system.
Okay. And then Donna's asking about color play threads. I don't know what color play threads are.
I don't know what those are either.
Donna, if you want to give us a little more info on that. And then Teresa uses the Alex drawers. So yeah, those work good. Hey Esther, good to have you here. Glad you're here with us. And Becky's happy that you're that you're able to fulfill what her needs are. Well, it starts with thread, but then it continues, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got multiple things in our sewing space, and one of the things that is probably our most prized possession for all of us to do any kind of work with fabric is our scissors, right?
Yes.
And maybe you're like me. You've got more pairs of scissors than you have shoes, or just as many. I wonder if anybody here has as many pairs of scissors as they have pairs of shoes, or at least a lot. And I use them for different things. But this particular pair really is my one and only craft scissors. They've got a special type of blade that doesn't stick to anything, and they're a little more heavy duty. They cut through just about anything, but they don't work well on fabric, really and truly, because they have been cutting through so many other things. So I love having these labeled as my craft scissors. If I've got another pair that's, similar, that's kept in the drawer, I'm not grabbing them by accident. But even more importantly, if dear hubby wants to use a pair and he says, "Don't, where are those big scissors that you are always raving about?" Well, I don't want him to accidentally pick the big scissors that are my fabric scissors. So I love these labels that you've made. So tell us a little bit about these.
So we're getting ready to relist those. We used to just, I think we had fabric and paper and with embroidery and craft. I think I don't remember. We had like a set of 4 that we were selling, and we took them all because we added some more sayings. And now we're going to sell them individually or in a group, and you can pick the saying that you want. But we have fabric, we have embroidery, we have craft.
Mine.
I think we have one that says mine, and we have another one that says hands off. We'll have those listed on the site pretty soon again. But they're just they're made out of acrylic, and they're a great way to keep track of your scissors.
Yeah.
I know, when you go somewhere to a class, you want to make sure that nobody picks up your scissors. So that's a great way to keep track of them.
Well, one of the products that you have in your store is Teresa says hide the scissors.
That's a good way.
One of your products is actually a little gift package that includes those, isn't it?
Yes.
And it comes in a really nice little craft colored box with some nice little stuffing things in there. So I definitely encourage everybody to check out all the different products you have. That makes a great gift if you want to.
Yeah, we did that. We did that during the holidays because we figured, well, if they've got spouses or significant others that want to find something for them, it was just something really quick. They didn't have to think about it. They would have several different things in that box to give them for the holidays.
Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun. And by the way, I will have links to all of your sites. You had your website, you've got an Etsy site, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram. So after the show is over, I will add all those to the show notes. So all you have to do is click to find Laser Studio and connect with Sharon and Kelly. All right, I gotta bring up this one. This is my friend Forrest. He says, "Of course, I have more pairs of scissors than I have shoes." Okay, Forrest. There's a lot of us others here that are gonna kind of have trouble adding up all of those. But
should do a contest who has the most scissors.
Exactly. All right. So let's see what else do we have issues with in the sewing space. I'm gonna bare my soul right now. My thing is organizing projects. I try I try to keep the pattern pieces with the fabric pieces that are cut and this and that and the other. Those that do in the hoop projects, they're cutting a lot of pieces, right? I understand you have a great solution for that. You want to tell us, Sharon and Kelly, what you got going for those?
So these kind of came about from in the hoop projects. You get your list and it says, okay, this front fabric needs to be this size, the bottom top needs to be this size, and then you got your lining fabric and your back fabric and all that, and you cut it out and you got it stacked over there. And then I was trying to remeasure when I got ready to lay something down because I couldn't remember, okay, is this the top piece? Is it the bottom piece? Is it the lining? What is it? So we come up with these little tags. Y'all can see.
I'm gonna bring up
show the picture.
A picture and see if I can get both of you on there together. There we go. Okay.
So their little tags are with dry erase, so you can you can label your pieces, either A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, or it's the top, front, or whatever, however you want to label them. And then they have little clips on them that you can clip them to your fabric. So really easy to keep up with your pieces while you're doing your project. And then you just wipe them off and you can reuse them for something else. It's a set of 10. It comes with a marker, but any dry erase marker will work on them. They're great for if you do quilt blocks and you're working on a quilt and you've cut out all these pieces. So this piece A, you can clip all of the pieces A's together. I even thought you could do it with your binding. So I know I do quilt tops and they're just sitting there for, well, I'll say months, but it's probably years before I get around to quilting them. And so you can actually, if you already know your binding goes with this quilt, you can actually clip that on there and label it.
Yeah.
Stabilizer pieces.
Stabilizer, yep. If you have
some projects.
Oh, yeah.
from
And
multiple
my friend
styles.
June is asking about stabilizer storage, but June, this would be a great way to label your stabilizers. And yeah,
'cause
storage, that's another whole
some of the
thing too.
stabilizers, once you've opened it from the package, you don't know what it is if you don't, slide the package information inside, and let's say it gets lost. Well, this way you can go ahead and label. That way you always know what type of stabilizer it is.
Exactly. And woe is you if you accidentally use water soluble stabilizer instead of cutaway mesh. And June,
Yes.
I know June's shaking her head right now. I can see her.
Or the other way around. If you do in the freestanding lace project and you use the mesh instead of the wash away, then you can't wash your stabilizer out.
Exactly.
And I'm seeing Miss Reen Wilcox in the.
Yep, I was going to bring her comment up in just a second. Yeah.
Her and I actually worked together to come up with the tags, because she's the queen of everything in the hoop. So
yeah,
she was the perfect person to ask her opinions on how we should do this. So thank you, Miss Reen.
Absolutely. I'll bring her up in just a sec, but we have Jay on here. Hi, Jay. Great to have you with us tonight. And she has them and she loves them, those projects.
Awesome. Good. Thanks, Jay.
Yep. Great. And yep, Reen. Hey, Reen. Reen is the queen
of
In the Hoop embroidery, In the Hoop embroidery designs. Reen Wilcoxon from embroiderygarden.com. Reen was actually my first guest on this show when I started this show. So she helped debut this So Tell Me show with me. And we all love Reen. But project tags make her projects even better, if that's possible. Yeah. Stacy says, awesome for bag pieces after you cut it. Yeah, that's a great tip, because bag pieces can be like so many different kinds, and to be able to write on there and have that be reusable just makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, we all know that at times being in the sewing room can get stressful. So if you get everything as organized and planned out as possible, that reduces the stress, so you can actually enjoy the time, making the project.
Yep, so. Absolutely. Again, we got a lot of Reen fans here, us included.
Everybody loves Miss Reen.
Well, her project.
That's how most of our stuff started. It was like, okay, I need to start this, but I don't want to have to go dig for thread, or, I'm sitting there sewing and I'm knocking I used to line up my threads in front of my machine, in the order that I was stitching them, and then I'd knock it over, or I'd forget what that hole was for. And, it's like, so that's how the project trays came up. It's, and then the tag. So a lot of it was just a necessity to make sewing easier and more fun. So.
Well, there's two things that I really love. I mean, there's a lot of things I love about Laserbee and a lot of things I love about both of you, but two things that I think I really want to highlight is, first of all, these products came out of the need that was found from two people that did a lot of embroidery, not just thought about it, not just talked about it, but actually did it. Both of you have been embroidering for many years. Right. Kelly, I know you've done a lot of digitizing, and I see that you actually have some of your Louisiana style digitized designs on your website.
And Joanne, it all started. I never really had the passion to digitize. It kind of just started where I had my own embroidery company, and I started getting so many requests for custom designs, and it gets costly having to send that off to outsource. So a couple of weekends, I just literally sat down with my software, and I would bring in a design that was already digitized. And you have like that little slow redraw. And I just studied and studied how they created that design. And then I just started tinkering with it, you know? So,
Oh my.
and it's not for everybody. It really isn't. I actually don't have a lot of time to do it anymore. And actually, I opened up my software not too long ago, and I was like, wow, I forgot so much. But I guess it's like riding a bike; it comes back to you. But yeah, I enjoyed it when I did it. Um, I say at least learn how to take a design into your software, even if it has already been digitized, manipulate it, remove parts, add parts, and just learn. It's fun. It can be really fun. So.
So, tell us, Kelly, have you pretty much used the type of software that comes, kind of with an embroidery machine, or have you gone outside the box and gone into professional software?
I right off the top, thanks to my mom, it was a birthday gift. We went to a Floriani class and we bought the full digitizing software. And
Okay.
then from there it progressed. I now have the Dime software and absolutely love it. I sold brother machines and I tinkered a little bit with the PE design software, but never could grasp that as well as the Dime software. I am a fan of the BES lettering.
Yep.
It's a great program for people who just don't want to digitize it. That software will allow you to do so much, you know. So that's how it got started.
That's interesting. I think, and tell me what you think, Kelly, if you would agree that like a lot of times it's good to get started with a more of an editing software.
Correct.
So that,
Absolutely. Yeah, you
yeah,
don't want to jump right into trying and figuring out this whole digitizing thing. You need to baby steps. Editing software will be the best. It'll let you, merge things together, create lettering until you get comfortable with it. I think that's what everybody's main problem is. They just try and take on too much too fast, and it gets overwhelming and it'll scare you.
yeah,
I know it did with me when I first started. So you just have baby steps, and you'll
yeah.
get there.
And Teresa's asking me personally, what software do I use? Well, I do use PE Design 11 a lot, but I really don't digitize. I'm more of I like to play and I like to pick apart designs and I like to add things together, and I like to do my lettering a lot of times in a software program. But I did just recently get the Designs and Machine Embroidery. Perfect Embroidery Pro software. So I'm just starting to get my feet wet in that, and
You'll love
you
it.
know,
It's super easy. It really
they
is.
all kind of work a little bit differently. So it's nice to kind of have play
Option.
around with a little bit of both. But as far as like lettering and editing software, yeah, I am a big fan of the Brother BES software as
Yes.
well. I am a Brother ambassador, so I do kind of gear along that line. But I've also just starting to explore the BES Blue, which is a little quite a bit of a less expensive version than the BES lettering. So you'll probably hear more about that in the future. I may bring on a brother educator to talk a little bit about that. But so the second thing you can already see what the second thing is one of my favorite things I love so much about Laserbee Studio is Laserbee products are made in the USA.
That they are.
That
We're
is just
very proud.
too cool. And how many things can we say that about today? And then the fact that you are able to customize for people and use your ability to fill their needs, that makes it even more special.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, we're always up for hearing new ideas and stuff. We're, like I said, if we could all be organized, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be all organized, but it would sure be nice, wouldn't it?
I think it's kind of the nature of the beast. What is it that say? Creative mess is better than tidy idleness. Is that
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, we all have our ways, though. We all have our ways, and
Right. Some people do very well in chaos,
that is true. As long as you're enjoying what you're doing in your sewing space, that's what counts the most. Jane here, Kelly, here's a question for you. Where do you learn how to digitize? Any tips for that?
They do have classes. I want to say, was it John Deere has?
No, John Deere does.
John Deere offers online classes. If you happen to be at an event and he's there, they'll do seminars. I personally learned just hands-on.
By doing. I
watched it and watched it and watched it, and of course, throughout the years, I watched a few of the experts, like I met Walter Floriani,
Okay.
Cindy Hogan.
Yeah, I'm bringing up Cindy is a mutual friend, and Cindy has books on PE design and on BES, and that's a great way to start too.
Yeah, Cindy did a lot of events for us, and I just absorbed as much as I could because she's one of the experts of the whole digitizing world. And then when I just kind of merged all those techniques together and just found my jive, my groove.
Your groove. You found your groove.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, another vote for Cindy. Definitely, Cindy's got some great tutorials and does a live show as well. So I gotta have Cindy on here one of these days too.
See her this weekend.
We were so blessed to see Cindy this past weekend at the event that we did in Oklahoma City.
Aw, that's good.
We do miss seeing you guys.
Yep, sure do. All right. So I think we should talk some more about embroidery. What do you think?
I think
Is there any other tools though that you'd like to show and tell before we get some kind of embroidery lessons and embroidery tips going here? Anything we missed?
I don't think so.
Well, we have a new tool that we'll probably list this week.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't bring one in.
We didn't bring
one. We just did it. We had a big event this past weekend, and we just got home late last night and had to hurry up and unload the trailer to get stuff to show for the show tonight. But it's going to be called a needle insert tool. It's made out of acrylic, and it's got a little hole at the end that you can put your needle in. And we actually made it where the back is flat, so you always know you're putting your needle in the correct way into your machine. Because both of us working at stores, you'd be surprised how many people try to put their needle in backwards and then wonder why the machine doesn't sew.
Yeah.
So, then it will hold it up there and tighten it. But I mean, other than that, we're just coming up with new ideas for inserts and how to store your thread. That's our main focus. And people have ideas. We're certainly we would certainly love to hear new organizing ideas and see what we can come up with.
And by request, huh? Well, I'm going to bring up a screen really quick just to show you that I do have all of your ways to connect and all of the ways to see everything you have, because you really do have so many different tools to offer. And I know you're adding things all the time. So I will have all of these things listed here, posted in the show notes. So rest assured, you'll be able to find out exactly where they are on Facebook and the website, of course, and the Etsy shop too. So, well, I'd like to take just a minute to thank everybody that is here. And if you're watching this live, obviously we're doing this live. It's always a joy to have everybody join in, but maybe you're watching the replay. So I want to make sure that you know how grateful I am that you're taking the time to watch this as well. And we've got lots more embroidery tips coming up. But if you like the video and you'd like to see more, please be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, because I'd love to have you join the Let's Go Sew list and get on my list and be notified whenever I have something going on, whether it's live or through email or my website. Lots going on all the time. And I'm really all about sharing the love of sewing and embroidery with all of you. So, Sharon, we did mention at the very beginning, I got a couple questions here. Let me catch this. Linda wants to know if the needle inserter is available online yet.
Not yet. It will be this week. We just got them ready for the show we did this past weekend, so we haven't had a chance to list them, but be looking for them this week.
All right. June says that will be so helpful. I agree because, you know, we're all spoiled by the automatic needle threaders, but getting the needle in there in the first place.
Right, because you know they give you so much room to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You gotta have
cool.
5 hands.
And actually, I'm seeing a couple of people, including Miss Reen. Yes, the needle tool will work for the multi-needle.
Yeah. Okay,
As
great.
long as it uses the flat back needles, it'll work. We haven't figured out a round needle.
Okay, because that was Donna's question. She's wondering if it will work for the industrial style needles or the round ones, or some sergers use a round needle too. Not very many, but
Not yet, but we'll get there.
We'll figure
it
out.
All right. And let's see what yeah, having Cindy Hogan with that would be I'm sure Cindy's in my plans. Definitely. But yeah, I love the idea of that needle inserter tool. So, okay. Sharon, you as an educator, you probably get hit with questions all the time. And I'd love to ask you just, you know, kind of briefly, what would be some of your best embroidery tips that you would offer to someone, whether they're new to embroidery, they've been embroidering for a while, somewhere in between that, just some of your expert tips that you've learned along the way. Please share.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 20 some odd years. Worked at a store that we sold embroidery machines, and I got hooked on it. And I think the biggest thing is to learn your stabilizer, learn what the stabilizer's for, and what fabric to use it for, what projects to use it for. That's probably your biggest thing to need to know is why do I use this stabilizer instead of this stabilizer for something. I'll do a plug for OESD. If you go to their site, embroideryonline.com, they do have great little PDFs and stuff that tell about the different stabilizers. It's a little embroidery 101 thing that you can actually read up on. They have great videos on their YouTube channel. Great way to learn that. So stabilizer, that's very important. You gotta have the right stabilizer. You can't use, I always say, we always say if using a stretch fabric, you could be using a cutaway because you want that stabilizer to stay in there when, after you finish stitching. Why are we getting it? And then I think another tip that I have is hooping. It's very important to hoop correctly. I know when I first started, everything had to be drum tight. You had to be able to, you stretched your stuff in the hoop and you thumped it. And if it, sounded like a drum, then you knew you were doing it right. Well, that's not what we do, because what happens when you take that out of the hoop, all your fabric and stuff is going to go back to its original, position, and you're going to have, puckers, you're going to have all kinds of mess in there. So, we actually say to hoop with all your stuff at rest in the hoop. And then, don't stretch your fabric, and make sure you tighten up your hoop well, and that will give you a great success with your projects as well. What else? If it's an in the hoop project, I usually say, read the instructions. These people have tested out the designs. They know how the projects should work. So read those instructions and follow along, and you will have good success on that as well. So those are probably my biggest 3: hooping, stabilizer, and then make sure you follow the directions. Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Stacy says, so you don't pull it too tight. Do you want to elaborate on that a little?
So what I do when I hoop, what we say by at rest is I take my hoops, I take my inner part of my hoop and my outer part of my hoop, and it's always on a flat surface. That's the other thing. I always hoop on a flat surface. If you're trying to hoop on your lap, if you're trying to hoop in the air, then you're not going to get, you're going to get waves and stuff with your project. So I lay my inner hoop on the table. I put my stabilizer and my fabric on top of it. And then I make sure that my outer ring, that the screw is open enough that it will take all that in without me having to shove it in there. So make sure you loosen the screw on your hoop. You slide it over on top of the other stuff, and then it just should slip right in there. Okay. And then while it's still on the table, tighten that up, and you're going to have everything nice and flat. You haven't stretched your fabric, and you have a really good success with your project.
That's absolutely perfect. And I'm a big fan of hooping it on a hard surface. And I always say you should always be standing up too and overlooking that hoop. So otherwise you're asking for trouble.
And you really want to try and go in flat with your hooping. You know, if you go in at a 45, you might get issues.
Yeah.
So if you can stand up and try and press down, you know, evenly is the better way to go.
And if you're going to force it, then you need to loosen that screw some more, because you're actually going to cause hoop burns on your fabric. You could actually tear it. And then you also get some stretching that way. So loosen up that hoop. You could always damage your hoop too that way. And hoops are expensive. So
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And we have so many alternatives these days, but still there's a lot of us that like to use traditional hoops for a lot of projects, because it just really, you know, I always say they designed it that way for a reason, you know.
Exactly.
So
that's right.
Yep. And yeah, Cindy's bringing up my I like to add just a little bit to that. I say put the hoops together, the inner ring and the outer ring together, like you would put on a shoe, toe first, heel last.
Oh,
so you're kind of, you know, pushing that in and then pushing it down, and you know, making sure that it sits there nice and tight. So Connie's asking, should you just pop it out of the hoop or loosen the hoop? That's a great question, Connie.
I would actually loosen the hoop, loosen that screw again, because the more you do it, you can actually wear down your hoop. You can wear down the screw. So you might as well loosen it, because it's going to have to be loose the next time you hoop anyway. So go ahead and just loosen it up.
And then June has a good point here. She's saying the dime hoop mat is also nice to have. Yes, I have mine right here. Although, if you looked, I won't show it to you, but I accidentally did what they always tell you not to do, which is don't confuse this with your cutting mat, because you've got your cutting mat underneath and you forget and you take your rotary cutter and I got a big long slice in mine. So I've got it taped right now. We'll see how long that lasts before I buy it.
But yeah, that is a very good hoop mat. It keeps everything from sliding. I like that.
They're great. Let me see if I can unroll it and just show it to you.
Yeah, that's a great thing. They also have hoop helpers where your hoop actually clips onto this big old Corian type heavy duty piece of, I don't know, Corian is what it is, I think, is made out of, and that keeps your hoop from sliding around on the table. So
but yeah, I've actually used the dime mat, and it's fantastic. It will not slide on you.
It's a nice tool, and I love the grids on there, because I use it for
perfect placement
to see through the stabilizer when I'm using sticky. So I line it up with center lines and then use that for a hooping technique too. So and Vicky likes her hoop, and yes, it is a small cut on it. Yeah, it happens to the best of us, right? And Renee just ordered her. So you can never have too many good, useful tools in the sewing room. And that, combined with good advice like you just gave us, Sharon, really can make things so much easier and so much fun. So speaking of so much fun, I hear you're an expert in tile scenes, and I couldn't let you come out on the show without telling us a little bit more about tile scenes. I know the company that you represent as an educator has a lot of them, and of course there's other ones out there too, but I would love to hear you give us some tips on tile scenes. So why don't you start out by showing what a tile scene looks like?
Well, this is one. This is Merry and Bright. It actually comes in 2 different colorways. So you can either do the
Oh
red.
my, I haven't seen.
You can do the red and
Oh, I
green
haven't
or the
seen this.
silver and gold.
Two completely different looks with that for sure.
And then this is one of my favorites. This is Santa's Workshop.
Done in
That,
grayscale.
believe it or not, that is white, black, and I think 15 shades of gray make up that tiling scene. But it's all
Wow.
the shading that's done in it that creates that beautiful look. And then I got one more I'll show, and then I'll talk a little bit about them. This is Enchanted Santa. And it's so hard to see on video, but these things, the shading is just amazing. And it just looks like something that's, if you've ever seen those velvet, remember the paintings they used to do on velvet?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what this looks like because the shading is so awesome.
Well, the thing that's interesting about those too is I know I looked up the list just from OESD alone on their website, and there are some things on there too that are not seasonally oriented,
Oh
that are
yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
artistic, and I was kind of drawn to those a little bit because I like to do something that I can keep up all year round and show.
Yeah, we just
But
did. There's one out now that's would be good for the 4th of July. I want to say it's All Glory. Sorry, I can't remember all the names of it, but it's a cute little like watering can with the flag on it and some really pretty flowers and stuff. We just did one for it's the Serenity Prayer.
yeah,
So that one was a really good one.
I
Yeah,
also
we get
saw.
a lot of requests for non-holiday ones, so they're trying to come out with those as well.
Yeah, I saw one that was very artistic. It was just like floral pieces. Well, the big advantage to tile scenes is that you can create. Well, there's a lot of advantages. I'd love to hear but I, from my perspective as a stitcher, it's kind of rewarding to do one block at a time.
Correct.
Because now you know you're one step further into completing that whole scene.
Correct.
You're also able obviously to create things that are really really large that you would never have any opportunity to do that. And then June says it looks three-dimensional. They do. They're just so big and bold.
Yeah, it's got, the great thing about it is that, the machines are getting bigger. So, we're always coming out with bigger designs because people want to stitch those big designs out on those big hoops. But our tiling scenes, I want to say almost, I can't think of one that doesn't. They all fit in the 5x7 hoop. And that's what most people have is at least a 5x7 hoop. And you're doing one tile at a time. And then once you stitch those out, when you're finished, you just stitch them together like you would quilt blocks. So, it's something that everybody can do with their machines pretty much. So, I do recommend, going with a thread chart because our Digitize are amazing. Our artists are amazing. And they do wonderful shading. So, if you don't use isocord thread, I really suggest getting the tiling scene kits, that have the isocord for that tiling scene because it will give you the shading.
Okay, good point.
So beautiful, yeah.
Good point. Well, Patty says she's working on the Summer Glory right now, so that's
on the flag.
Yeah, and let's see. Kim said she did one on dark green velvet. Wow, I bet that was amazing, Kathy.
Yeah,
that had to be amazing. And then Donna has a comment. She said tiling helps those with smaller hoops do something big. Exactly. Perfectly said, Donna. I couldn't have said that better myself. Perfectly.
A lot of people frame them instead of putting the batting and the backing behind them. And that's another thing that's different with ours. We don't hoop the batting and stuff with ours. I know other companies do, but you're actually just making the top layer as you stitch. And then you'll add, just like you would layer a quilt, you'll lay out your batting, your top, and your backing fabric together. And then we usually just do stitch in the ditch to hold the 3 layers together and then put our binding on.
Okay.
So,
okay. I have seen some where they use a narrow ribbon that covers the
Mm-hmm.
the seam, and then that creates like a window pane effect? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we had a year or two that was a big thing, was adding um the ribbon in, like you said, the window pane. That kind of hides a lot of, if you're not good at piecing the blocks together, it kind of hides where they didn't match up too well. You certainly can do them. I think I want to say our video we have on the YouTube channel actually talks about, you could actually do those the other way. You just eliminate, you leave your seam allowance, and you could actually sew them together without making it the window pane effect.
Okay. Okay. Now that it kind of brings up June's question. She'd love to know your secret for perfectly matched seams. Probably a lot of it starts with your hooping techniques, I would say, that you
Correct stabilizer,
outlined.
so it stitches out correctly. And then cutting it correctly. We always we recommend a half. What we do when we finish stitching a tile, the very last stitch is a seam stitch, and we tell you in the directions to change your bobbin thread to a different color. That way you can see that seam stitch. So if your bobbin thread is white, then change it to orange. We always have those bobbins that are left over from a project that, we don't know what we're going to do with fluorescent pink bobbin thread. So just stick that in your machine and stitch out that final seam stitch. And then when you trim your blocks, you can actually see that. And we're going to trim a 1/2 inch away from that. And then if you do that and you match them up, when you put them right size together to sew, they're all going to match. So, they're all cut the same. They're all going to match. One good thing we do with ours is that we actually extend the stitching beyond the seam stitch. So if it's not perfect, you're not going to get any blank gaps between the blocks. There's going to be some stitching in there, so you can't tell that you're off.
Very good. So there's like a margin for forgiveness built in there.
Correct.
Yeah. That is very, very important. Carrie loves your tip, and Kathy says she used to hand baste it together, then machine stitch it. So I like to say there's a time and a place to baste. So if that works for you, go for it.
Yeah, I don't do many things by hand, unfortunately.
Cindy says, or Kathy rather, Kathy had hers professionally framed. But she did, like she said, she did hers on velvet. So yeah, that makes it.
We've seen a lot with them framed, and they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, these are what I consider heirloom pieces because you've taken so much time to do them, and why not frame it and make it a permanent fixture in your house? So.
Absolutely.
They're beautiful.
They're
so realistic.
Yeah. Cindy West wants to do Dashing Through the Snow. And
yeah, that's a popular one. That's a really popular one.
Patty says early tile scenes did not have those seam stitches, so it's great to have that on the.
Yeah.
And then Patty had another tip for us. If you do a lot of tile scenes, you have to have more than one embroidery machine so you can have several projects going on at a time.
The dealers will love to hear that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Jay says, great help. Now it makes her want to do one. I've been eyeing the one on OESD site, the sailboat one. It's kind of a little simple, but it has just that nice kind of, tranquil look to it. So I like that one. I think I'm getting ready to pull the trigger on that one and try it out.
There's several out there that, if it seems overwhelming, you can just make a few of the blocks. You don't have to make the whole thing. I had somebody that took, was it Enchanted Santa? Let me see. I think they just took and they just stitched out where his face was, and then they framed it. So, it didn't seem like it was so overwhelming. They didn't have to do that whole scene. So
definitely, you're the artist. You're in control.
Correct.
You're pushing all the buttons and making all the decisions. So, wow, those are just absolutely beautiful, 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 beautiful. And then, they are from OESD. So I saw a couple of questions pop up. The ones that we're talking about tonight are from OESD, and but there are other ones out there. But I love the way you described, Sharon, the way OESD has designed those to
our digitizers are so I'm sorry, I'm biased, but they're the best. The shading they do is just amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend pinging me. And so if you're hearing the pinging, and she says she's getting all excited about this, and I know she's my friend Kim. She's having trouble commenting on YouTube, so she's
oh,
commenting directly. Wants to make sure they're beautiful. So. Yep. And Patty says her brother dealer loves her. Well, I'm sure you love your brother dealer too. There's nothing like having a good dealer to help you with your sewing and embroidery life, right?
exactly.
And Teresa had a good idea of adding twinkle lights. That would be something they should think about maybe digitizing in, because you need those little
Right.
buttonholes in order to do that.
We have some designs that we started carrying it's this Lux Sparkle vinyl. So we have some dimensional projects that we have made the little eyelets that you can stick the twinkle lights in, and you create names and things like that with them. So
like some freestanding things.
yeah.
Freestanding things. Yeah, we'll have to do another show. We'll do another show on threads and maybe stabilizers, threads and stabilizers, and freestanding designs. That would be a good one.
I'm kind of partial to the freestanding.
They're beautiful. They're amazing.
They are amazing. And June says her dealer is the best. Yes, her dealer is my dealer. So definitely support your local dealer. And Deb's been bookmarking all the sites. So that's great, Deb, because that's what we want to do here. We want to provide lots and lots and lots of resources for you. Definitely. So there's just the fun never ceases to end in our sewing space. I've been often heard to say that I feel sorry for people that don't sew. I mean, I know other people have other hobbies and different things, but there's just something so special about creating things with your own two hands. Many of us, I'd love to hear in the chat, as we're wrapping up here, how many of you make gifts? How many of you do sewing, for charity projects, for others? There's just, there's nothing quite like giving somebody something that's been handcrafted with love. Yes, we're sewing it by machine, but it's still handcrafted, right?
I can go be all stressed, and I can go in my sewing room, and all the stress goes away. So
well, it's been proven to lower your blood pressure. They've actually proven that one. So absolutely.
We can lower it even more by organizing your thread.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yep. When you're saving time and you're saving effort, and you're happier in your sewing space, you're going to be able to produce a lot more. So absolutely, definitely. Yeah. Linda says she feels sorry for those who maybe have some health challenges. I have to say, I had a friend who was way up in her 90s, and she still sewed every single day, and she had a lot of other issues with with aging, but she never let that beat her, and it kept her going for a very, very, very long time.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Cindy needs embroidery cards for charity to help people adopt children. That's a good cause to do. And Teresa says her sewing room is her happy place. And Donna has made pillowcases for Children's Hospital. Yep. Great to do embroidery on that, even if you just put sweet dreams or somebody loves you or a cute design. Those are the kind of things that somebody's going to remember probably almost forever.
Right.
They're never, ever, ever going to forget that. I agree, Barbara. I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think we're probably about ready to say we're done. But any last thoughts that you have?
Oh.
Did we miss anything?
Any last thoughts?
Don't
give up. Keep sewing.
Yeah, keep sewing.
Don't give up. Keep sewing.
Absolutely. Don't ever stop sewing. Keep sewing.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, that's good. And be sure to reach out to Sharon and Kelly if there's anything that you are looking for. Check out all sites. Again, we'll have everything listed in the show notes. And they've already told you they're looking for ideas and they want to do customizing. So absolutely, let's keep that going.
Help us help you.
All right. Well, I have to say thank you. It's been wonderful to have you. It's been great to visit with you. It's been too long since we've seen each other, and I hope that we can definitely do this again.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
was our pleasure also to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Until next time, let's wish everybody happy sewing, and I wish you a world full of pretty stitches. Bye-bye, everybody.